Hey everybody, welcome back for another video all about obsessive compulsive disorder. My name is Brian, also known as OCD Mindful. I am a certified mindfulness instructor and an OCD coach. And today I'm going to answer a question or a kind of thought or statement that I see come up pretty frequently in my inbox from you all. And that's this idea of, should I be agreeing with the thought? I've heard this type of terminology before, and I think what's important to know here is, what do you mean by should we agree with the thought? If by agreeing with the thought, you're attempting to say that any thought that pops in, you're conclusively saying yes to, or I'm agreeing that that's true or will happen or that's reality, then no, I don't think that's a good idea at all. But if by agreeing with the thought you mean being agreeable to the thought, allowing it to be there and not challenging it, then yes, that's what you want to do with these OCD thoughts, or with any thoughts that come up that seem to be demanding of your attention and seem to be causing anxiety and wanting you to analyze or figure them out or neutralize the thought or the feeling that comes along with them. Right, so for example, what I think people are trying to do here when they say, I'm just agreeing with the thought, I think what they're hoping for there is to neutralize the thought, right? So for instance, if the thought comes up that I'm actually offending God, or I'm not praying the right way, and I'm a sinner and I'm going to go to hell, well, no, you wouldn't want to agree with that thought and say, yep, that's all true. Well, I don't get what that would really get you, other than the thought somewhere that by saying that, you're going to stop thinking about it. But I've said this before on other videos. I don't think trying to trick your OCD or lie about your OCD is ever a good idea. And so the term I would use here instead of agreeing with is being accepting that you can't get certainty of it, accepting that there might be, even if it's a small possibility, a possibility. And what that means is, we don't ritualize. Accepting uncertainty really means don't ritualize, don't do any of the compulsions. Don't try to figure it out. Don't try to neutralize it. Don't try to get that just right feeling. All of those things that you do that are rituals are an attempt to get that. They're an attempt to escape what the OCD is making you feel. And so those are the things we definitely don't want to do, right? So just as we don't want to agree with the thought by saying, yep, this is true, this is conclusively true, we also don't want to disagree with the thought by saying this is definitely not true, it's just OCD. Right, now we've talked about that one a bunch. But so always, with all of these questions that seem to be demanding of your attention and seem to be causing distress, the goal is to intentionally put a question mark on it, remind yourself, I can't get an answer, and I don't need to get an answer. And the more I try to get an answer, or the more I try to attain that just right feeling, or stop having these thoughts, the worse my OCD gets. It's this perfect paradox of OCD. So being agreeable to the thoughts as there's another thought, that could just be a crazy random thought that means nothing. It might mean something deeper. And I'm going to accept that it might mean something deeper, and right now I'm going to make the choice not to analyze it any deeper, not to try to figure it out. Can you decide to move forward, to live your life not being 100% certain? Well, that's what this whole thing is about, you guys. That's what the whole treatment is about. And, the reason that us OCD sufferers have OCD, it isn't because we have more uncertainty than anybody else. Okay, and if I've said these points 100 times, that's fine, because these are the big ones. Like, these are, if there's like a bullet point, list of 5 major things to know and remember and to remind yourself of with OCD. This is one of them. What the treatment actually is. And so what I was saying there is we don't have any more uncertainty than any normal Joe Schmo walking on the street who doesn't suffer from OCD. We feel like we have a ton more uncertainty because we have such an intolerance of that feeling. We have such an intolerance of uncertainty. We have such an intolerance of anxiety. And because we have that low threshold, that's the thing that makes it seem so much worse. Okay, not having a lot of tolerance or a high threshold for these OCD-related feelings and thoughts is the reason that we have OCD. It isn't the actual uncertainty itself. In fact, if I were to draw a chart and there was some way to analyze in my brain exactly what was going on through my treatment from when I went to obsessing all the time and feeling like I truly was completely uncertain, like it was just a guess. And I would have days where if I did a ritual, my uncertainty would drop real low. I'd feel good for however long, sometimes a half hour, sometimes a few hours if I was lucky. And then that feeling of uncertainty would naturally come back up. I'd feel more uncertain. The next day I could wake up, even if I did a really successful ritual that seemingly conclusively answered the question, I could wake back up the next morning and that feeling of uncertainty could be at an all-time high. And because of that, I'd have to go do another ritual and bring that uncertainty down. So if you're looking at a chart of how I felt, what I believed my level of knowledge was, or my level of certainty was, in my mind it looked like this, ritual down like this, OCD comes back up, ritual down like this. And really, the more you do your compulsions and give in, it actually gets worse. So it might be like this, ritual, and this, ritual, and this, ritual. Now my feeling of uncertainty is up here. But the truth is, my level of uncertainty, our actual level of uncertainty, stays right here. It stays right there, okay? It's that we feel, because we have such an intolerance for not being 100% certain, that's the thing that's causing your OCD. So that's what the treatment is aimed to counter, to work with, to get better at. It is just to get better. It is just to build up your threshold, build up your tolerance for the uncertainty itself and the anxiety itself. Okay? Once you get to that point, all of a sudden, you'll realize, well, I don't actually have any less or more certainty. I just don't feel like I need it. I have clarity. All right? Clarity is the word I like to use here. I still don't have certainty. If you ask me right now, do I have certainty that I'm 100% straight? No, I don't. I feel like I have very good clarity. I feel like, if someone asked me, I could tell them, yeah, I'm straight. I don't even think about it anymore. I've completely gotten over that. And that is the purpose of treatment. All right. So I'll reiterate one more thing here. If you think that you're doing treatment to eventually get to that point where you have certainty and you're just jumping through a few hoops before you get certainty, I'm sorry to tell you, you are going to continue to jump through hoops forever. You need to get over that hump. So do I agree with the thoughts? No. I accept the thoughts as possibilities. And then I remind myself, I can't get an answer to these. I've tried a million times. I'm going to drop it and move forward. Maybe it's true. Maybe I should be analyzing these because it might be a real thing that I need to figure out. But for now, I've done that a million times. It hasn't worked. So I will embrace not being sure, and I will continue to live my life not being sure. And then you take on all the feelings that come with it. That's where I like to meditate, breathe into those feelings, experience those feelings, not trying to change anything. All right, sorry, that went longer than I wanted it to, but no, you don't agree with the feelings, you don't disagree with the feelings. You accept that there's a possibility. Maybe, maybe not. Always put a question mark on the end of all of these nagging OCD questions. And all right, man, that's the trick. So, yeah, feel free to shoot me an email. I'm at ocdmindful@gmail.com. Leave a comment, and we'll catch up next time. Thanks.